Hello, pocket knife community, knife lovers, knife enthusiasts, interested viewers. Folder here, head to head. So we got the little guys here. Little knives need attention also. All right, little knives need attention also, especially with the laws we have here in the great U.S. of A. Depending on the state you live in, you might only be able to carry a smaller knife. You might not be able to carry something that has size. So I'm just going to do a head-to-head of two of the smaller knives I have. I don't have many smaller knives. I'm talking about stuff that's sub 2.5-inch cutting surface. That's small. That's small. Okay, 2.5-inch cutting surface. And I do have a few knives that fit that demographic, but I'm not going to actually put them in this comparison because it would be sort of unfair due to price point. Some of my smaller knives are more budget knives, so I really wouldn't want to, it's just a completely unfair comparison. So I have two of my a little bit more expensive knives that I'm going to compare. One is the Spyderco Chaparral, the Taichung version in carbon fiber. Okay, and I mean it's in carbon fiber. Okay, this is not the normal Taichung where, like with the Sage here, where you have the carbon fiber inlay with the G10. You can see the difference here. This one is actually carbon fiber. And you know, I just feel like the carbon fiber with the G10 inlay is a little bit more of a budget configuration than the pure carbon fiber, and it actually looks it also. The pure carbon fiber has a much better, a more refined look to it, the sheen. And you know, also when you look at this particular knife, it has a massive spine. It's a back lock, you know, sort of like your typical lock. And but the spine area of this is really thick throughout and it holds that thickness throughout the entire length of the knife, which is a very premium look. You know, comparing that to say the lightweight version that has that same you know, the back lock, and then it holds it in the rear spacer, but it's not nearly as thick or as premium looking. Okay, not nearly. And besides the fact that it's, you know, plastic. And then also I have my Sun and Moon version in G10. Even though it is smooth, high grade G10, it still doesn't quite have that ultra premium look like the full carbon fiber version. So I'm going to use that going head to head against the Giant Mouse Ace Reeve, which is, in my opinion, the best small Giant Mouse. I think it's the smallest. Well, there might be the Niblet, I think. I'm not that familiar with it, so don't quote me on it. But I think there's a knife Giant Mouse makes that is smaller than this or as small. And yeah. So the version I have is the brass / titanium frame lock version, which is a premium version of this knife. It also comes in Elmax steel, which, if you know about Elmax, it is a steel put out by Udahome Bola, or Bola Udahome, I should say, and it is a super steel. It is comparable to M390, and it surpasses it in some configurations, and it's an amazing all-around steel. Excellent Elmax. So yeah, the Spyderco is in Carpenter's CTX XHP, which also I'm not really sure if the community considers XHP a super steel at this point. I know at one point it was. I don't know if it still is considered a super steel, but it is a very good steel that holds an edge extremely well, but it's not impossible to sharpen. So the Spyderco Taichung models have XHP. This used to be an S30, this knife, and now it's mostly in CTS XHP. So yeah, so let's just get into it. You have both of these knives and they both have cutting edges that would have to fit the criteria of this comparison. And we have 2.5 inches for the chaparral, and cutting surface is 2 inches for the Ace Reef. The overall length of the blade for the Ace is, I would say we're at about, yeah, just over 2.5, just about 2 3/4 almost. And the chaparral is 3-inch blade. If you count the finger choil, it's a full 3-inch blade. So, I'm gonna tell you, for a small knife, it really has some impressive dimensions. Tiny little knife like this with a 3-inch blade, if you're counting the choil. And I normally don't like counting the choil, even though when you ask the blade size, the choil will be included, but it's not a cutting surface. It doesn't cut. This is for your fingers to go, right? This particular, I weighed these. This particular Spyderco is 2.5 ounces. And this particular giant mouse is 3.4. And I'm going to say that 3.4 with this giant mouse adds a lot of weight, because if you take the other version, which is also titanium but with smooth G10, it's a whole ounce lighter. But let's be real about the whole thing. The weight of these things don't really matter. They don't really matter that much. I mean, these are just pocket knives. An ounce, come on. But, just for reference, it's the only reason why I'm mentioning it. So, you can't really go wrong with these two. I would say the Carpenter's, the chaparral is a thinner knife, and with the with the wire pocket clip and how thin it is, it just rests in your pocket really really tight, and just you 100% forget that this thing is there. The only time you will remember this knife is there is if you need it for something. It just sits there. It doesn't interfere with things that are in your pocket, so it can share you can share space in your pocket because it's so small, and it really holds it nice up against the wall of your pocket. Ironically, these knives have identical type clips. Also, the giant mouse also has a wired pocket clip, and it works well for the Spyderco. It works well for the giant mouse. So, listen, ultimately, what this boils down to is you can't go wrong with either one of these. If you want a back lock, like in the Spyderco, that is an extremely strong, durable lock. Requires one-hand operation for opening, but for closing, you kind of do, need to use two, just to get that other hand on there to close it, keep your fingers out the way, so you don't end up with a band-aid like that. And the giant mouse has is a frame lock, which is a lot easier one-handed operation. So for the cutting task, you would need EDC for either one of these. It's just a personal preference. I would also say that the chaparral, I believe, this comes in so many configurations. I mean, I have 3 here: the carbon fiber, the FRN, and a G10 version with the sun and moon. But it also comes, I believe, in a titanium, and multiple configurations of steels I know in the past. And I got to say the same thing for the Ace, the Reef. They actually, Giant Mouse actually brought this knife out in a liner lock also. Now you can get this thing in a full titanium liner lock. Yeah, so I'm not gonna beat a dead horse with this one. This is just a personal preference. You can't go wrong if you're looking for a smaller EDC knife. You can't go wrong. If I were to give one of these knives an advantage, and I'm not even talking about the advantage of brass and titanium over carbon fiber, or vice versa. I'm talking about just the configuration of the knife itself. I would give a slight advantage to the Giant Mouse, only because of the fidgetability. I mean, you can literally reverse flick this knife. So it's going to have a little bit more, it's got the flipper tab, and it's got this awesome deployment hole. And so the fidget factor on the Giant Mouse, I would say, is a little better. This knife requires, like I said, two-hand operation, and it's not the most fidget-friendly locking mechanism. So if you don't care about fidgeting, if you want a pocket knife and all you want to do is carry it in your pocket and pull it out, and if you need to make a cut, you make the cut, and you just slow roll it out and you just fold it and put it back in your pocket, then the fidget factor is irrelevant. Both of these knives can do that very easily. Okay. If fidget factor plays a role, then I would definitely give it to the Giant Mouse. This particular configuration of the Giant Mouse will probably be a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to get this configuration. You can get something like this. This is a Stormtrooper edition, but you can get the knife in a configuration that is G10. This is considered the G10 configuration, even though it has the titanium on the lock side. But this is the G10, and then this is the brass, which would be, sub 200, in the 100s range. Somewhere in that range. This is going to be around the low 200s, probably. Something like that. And then the chaparral is also right around that same price. But so yeah. You can't go wrong. You just can't go wrong with either one. So anyway, that's all I got, guys. All right, head to head, Spyderco versus Giant Mouse, and the winner is you. That's who the winner is. If you decide to buy one of them, either one, you won. All right, take care.